So how do you know who to listen to?
First of all, talk is cheap. We all know that. Second of all, just because it's written on paper does not mean it's true, does it?
Absolutely
right?
not.
But we've got a culture that worships things that are written on paper more than they worship actual facts. So what I tell my students all the time, before you start practicing somebody's diet approach or exercise approach, get on Google or get on YouTube and find some pictures of that person. And what you'll find, if you start looking up the pictures of people writing diet books, most of them look unhealthy and a lot of them have diseases. Right? Good. Well, is it really a good idea to go learn how to get healthy from a sick doctor or a sick therapist? So first and foremost, ask yourself, does this person or teacher exemplify in their own body and in their own mind and their own living practice a way that is nurturing to me? If the product of the result of their teachings is something that they can wear and that you're willing to share, then that's somebody to follow, right? So I tell my students, if you don't wear it, don't share it. Don't be telling people not to do this or do that if you're not doing it yourself and if you don't have the vitality and the results to back it up. Many times I've been on debate panels at large conferences all over the world, and I've had PhD so-and-so with a gut out here and eyeballs falling out of his head and drinking coffee and smoking on the breaks, and he's sitting there telling me that my approach is a bunch of garbage and it doesn't work. And I have a very simple solution, and I've done it many times, and I haven't made many friends doing it, but I just say, you know, Dr. So-and-so, that's a very interesting philosophy. Do you have any evidence at all that it works? Oh, yes, my patients get better all the time. Well, how do you know they're getting better, that you're not just stimulating them with drugs or creating a false impression of getting better? I said, if your approach worked, wouldn't it be working for you as well? Oh, it does work for me. Good. And I stand up, and I get undressed, and I say, all right, I'm 50 years old. Here's the results of my program. You want to go out and see who can run in the hall? You want to see how high you can jump? You want an arm wrestle? You want to think about complex problems? You want to talk about issues of the world? Let's get to it. Right?
That is what
Here's the results of my program. Right? Twisted steel and sex appeal, baby. Right? So the fat, sick diet experts of the world, just because they sound good on paper and have a PhD, don't get fooled. Remember, PhD stands for piled higher and deeper. Right? If you can't wear it, don't share it. That's my only answer I have for you.
And I notice you're clean shaven.
Yeah, I like a clean shape. My grandfather was bald, so you get what's called hereditary baldness.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to find out about.
Yeah.
Like, so is that are people there saying that he has no hair? Is that any indication of health?
If your hair falls out,
yeah,
that's a sign of disease.
That's a sign.
That can be a sign of mineral imbalance. That can be a sign of toxicity in the body. That can be a sign of a severe fungal infection. It can be a sign of a parasite infection. It can be environmental poisoning, heavy metal poisoning. There's lots of things. Cancer. But like if I let my hair grow, it just looks ugly because I have a receding hairline that goes, you know, from the North Pole to the South Pole, and then I got two little islands of fluff on the side, and it just, you know, it makes you look kind of, you know, like something's missing. So, you know, I like a low maintenance landscape, and I always tell people, hey, remember, grass doesn't grow on a busy street, baby.
That's cool.
So is your question is the fact that him not having hair an indicator of disease?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's like being bald, but I guess you were saying if his hair's falling out.
If it's falling out, then that's a sign of illness, unless it's hereditary pattern baldness. Like my grandfather was bald.
Yeah.
So it often skips a generation. So in other words, my mother wasn't bald.
Okay.
She didn't have any brothers. So I started losing hair at 18. It just started falling out. When I used to work in a logging camp, I used to do all sorts of things when I was a tree faller, but we have to wear protective helmets. Mm-hmm. And every day when I would take my helmet off, I'd see hair in there. I'm like, what the hell? Where's my hair going? Well, I was as healthy and strong as you can get. I mean, I was a competitive boxer, kickboxer, motocross racer. You know, I was young, dumb, and full of cum, baby, and my hair was falling out.
Yeah, that's why, like, because we meet thousands of people, and we pick and choose who we want to interview to. We like, you know, like how you said, we're not going to listen to someone that is not exuding the health that we're looking for.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And so, like, I've always been curious about, like, the hair thing, because there have been people that we've met that have been super healthy that might not be a full head of hair, and some people like, Lee doesn't even have hair.
Yes. Now, there's another thing. You have to be very, very careful about falling into the trap of aesthetics.
Yeah.
For example, I work with a lot of professional athletes that have aesthetically beautiful bodies, but they're sick on the inside. So I'll give you an example. If you take a sick rat that's fat and got cancer, and you force it to run all day on a treadmill so it can eat, or you know what I'm saying, you put it into an environment where it has to run or it's going to die, that rat's going to slim down. And that rat, after a while, will look like a fit rat.
Yeah.
The problem is it has to externalize the nutritional resources and its own internal organs and glands into the muscle system. So what you have today, for example, when people go onto these body shaping contests, they're all over the world. Remember, I told you that your body stores toxins and fat. The reason it stores the toxins and fat is because you don't have the nutrition on board to run the detoxification pathways. There's two primary pathways. They're called the cytochrome P448 and the P450 pathways. And the liver goes through 3 stages: reduction, oxidation, and sulfation. All of those pathways require different enzymes and different nutritional support. So if anyone has a nutritional deficiency that debilitates any one of those pathways, whatever molecules that are coming into the body that the liver cannot break down and excrete as a water-soluble toxin, it gets shuttled into the fat. So someone like that gets in, decides, I'm fat, I got to get in shape, hires a personal trainer, and goes into a body shaping contest. They now force their body to burn that fat for energy, which we know, or they wouldn't be slimming down, would they?
Yeah.
But now, without realizing what they're doing, they're forcing their body to combust and to metabolize the toxins that were stored in the fat specifically to protect the nervous system, the glands, and the organs from disease. And so what do you see? You see people that now have a six-pack washboard, and they've got nice biceps, but all of a sudden they start having mental emotional problems, or they can't sleep at night, or they're getting all sorts of weird symptoms, and they start feeling sick, and they end up on all sorts of medical drugs, which is like the typical bodybuilder that comes in here has got a bag full of pills, wraps, straps, and medical drugs so they can keep torturing themselves in a gym. So what my key message here is, you can't just look at the surface. You've got to look at a person's physical fitness, their emotional fitness, their mental fitness, their spiritual fitness, and then if you do testing like I do, you can look at nutrient reserves, you can look at toxicity in the body. But it's not just what you see in the mirror. We have created an entire generation today of what I call fit, sick people. Mm-hmm. We've got the most death at the earliest age amongst professional athletes we've ever seen. We've got guys dying at 35 years of age of heart attacks. Mm. We've got kids being born with clogged arteries. We've got the massive obesity in children. Everywhere across the board, you are seeing a complete and utter breakdown of human society, which is largely the result of processed foods and the abuse of science.
That's why the raw bras are in an interesting situation, because as you may see, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I feel like I'm a pretty good looking guy.
You're a handsome devil. Look at him.
Yeah, and we take off our shirts and we have great builds. We can pretty much be a model for any diet, short term at least, and people will probably listen to what we have to say because we look pretty good.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's not necessarily the way to go about it, as Dr. C.H.E.K here.
Well, yeah, I'm a holistic practitioner.
Okay,
but now that you've promoted me, when do I get paid?
Yeah, so that's interesting for us. That's why we have become more, such as like Daniel describes, as health journalist.
Yeah.
As rather as a model for a certain diet.
How about health experientialists?
I like that.
That's what we're all about. We're all about expecting nothing and experiencing everything.
Right. So you try the vegan diet.
Yeah, we try.
And you share. Look, this is what got better. This is what challenged me. Try eating all fat. Try eating all protein. Try eating all vegetables. Try eating a vegan diet. Try fasting. And what you'll find out is what happens with each one of those. And then you develop a log of, well, when I was on the meat-eating diet, man, I was putting on muscle mass, but I was tired all the time. Or my mind got foggy. Or I got constipated and couldn't poop and eventually ended up feeling terrible because I had all these toxins in my body. When I was on a vegetarian diet, my skin got good, my mind got clear, but I couldn't recover from exercise, and I felt terrible every time I worked out. So then I started not exercising because it hurt, and the next thing you know, my mind was clogged up again. So what do you find? How many people go from the South Beach diet to the Atkins diet to the Ornish diet? Well, all they're doing is doing what they should be doing on a daily basis. When you learn what it felt like to be on the Atkins diet, and you learned what the benefits and what the drawbacks were, you learn to recognize when you need more protein in your diet, more fat in your diet. Then when you're on a vegan or a vegetarian diet, you say, wow, that's what it feels like on vegetarian nutrition, and these are the things that cleared up. My skin got better, my joints didn't ache. Good. So when your skin starts to look bad and your joints start to ache, it means you probably need more vegetables. When your penis won't stand up in the morning because you've been on a vegetarian diet too long, you add a little more animal flesh because it means you're not able to make androgens.
Yeah.
So you see, instead of going from diet book to diet book and guru to guru and dogma to dogma, you develop a relationship with your body. Instead of using your head and reading what's on paper and believing it like gospel, you just have a relationship with your body. My musculoskeletal system needs more flesh so I can work out today. Let's give it a little. Mm-hmm. How much is enough? Enough that it doesn't make me feel bad. Mm-hmm. Enough that it doesn't make me constipated. Enough that it doesn't make my skin look bad. How much vegetables do I need? What's the body need? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
It's that simple.